we got our first pitcher ejection, Mario. We all knew this was going to happen. Seattle Mariners pitcher Hector Santiago becomes the first pitcher to be ejected in MLB's crackdown on this foreign substances. So basically, he ended up defending himself, Mario, say he was only using rosin on what was a humid day in Seattle, which I got to be honest, I do understand where he's coming from. And you'll see why I do say that in a minute. He said, and like he actually has a few quotes on us. He said, and I call umpire Phil Pucci that he felt some sticky stuff on the inside of the glove. All I used was rosin. I used it on both sides, trying to keep that sweat from dripping down to the hands, which is understandable. Crew Chief Tom Holland also had a quote on this. He said, like, what we do is we go around the whole glove feeling for anything that would be sticky or something. It was very noticeable, and then the rest of the crew inspected to make sure we were all in agreement. All four agreed that it was a sticky substance, and that's why he was ejected. Santiago also went on to say, that was what they told me. You can't use rosin on the glove here. When I use rosin, I dab on both sides. The umpire said you couldn't use it use it on the glove hand. He also went on to say that once they take it back and check it, it's just sweat and rosin. If they're going to do all the science stuff, it's going to be sweat and rosin. We'll be all right. And Mariners manager Scott Servalis also said, and I quote, it's about 85 to 90% humidity today. He had rosin all over himself. When you put rosin on sweat, it gets sticky. Our guys are doing the right thing. We're following the rules. And this ended up happening in a doubleheader with the White Sox over the weekend. This happened in the first game in the fifth inning. They ended up winning that game 3-2. But yeah, Mario, I'll start off with this first one. Before I do, this article was written by Jesse Rogers, who was an ESPN staff writer. So I'll start off with this first, okay? First of all, I do get where he's coming from. You know, I did talk about only 2 times I'll ever use rosin is if the grass is damp and the ball gets wet, I'll use rosin so like my hand stays dry and I get a better grip on it. Or if it's humid, like he mentioned, if it's too hot and I start to sweat a lot, I'll use the rosin to at least keep my hands a little bit dry. But sometimes you sweat so much to the point where, like he says, it does get sticky. But it's not like when he talks about sticky, it's not like pine tar sticky or spider tack sticky, where if you use spider tack, you could basically use that as freaking super glue. Like that substance is absolutely insane. I've never used spider tack before. Like I've seen pictures of it where like people would have like the baseball and the spider tack on their hand, and it literally looks like a yo-yo. Like spider tack is absolutely insane. Like I could use that as a super glue for crying out loud. But it's nothing like that. No, it's like how do I explain it? It's weird. It's like if I was to melt candle wax. It's kind of like that. It's like a moist kind of sticky. It's not like it's gonna stick on you and it's gonna stay like that. It's not that kind of sticky, but it's kind of like a moisture kind of. You kind of get what I'm coming at, right? It's kind of like if I was to melt candle wax. That's basically what that is. But I do understand why he was using the rosin, you know. But when you put it on the glove hand, that obviously raises a lot of questions, you know, because there could have been something in the glove, you know. And I actually seen the video of it. It looked like there was something in his glove. So, but the article doesn't explain that, so we don't know if there was something in there. But if it did get that sticky, Mario, according to the umpires, if it did get that sticky, especially when you can't put rosin on the glove hand, I do feel like there was something in that glove. We'll find out eventually, but when it comes to rosin and humid days, that definitely is a good excuse to use it. But when it goes on the glove hand, obviously you can't do it. That's just the rule. You can't do that. So I do question that part. You know, was there something in the glove? Personally, I don't know, because again, not only does the article not say it, but he's denying that there wasn't anything in his glove, that the rosin was all he was using. And he seems pretty confident about that. You know, I don't know. Maybe he is right, and that was just what he was using, and maybe he's wrong that there was something in that glove. He could be wrong, but overall, Mario, this is a pretty confusing situation. But when you look at it, I wouldn't describe sweat combining with rosin as just sticky. I would describe it as a moist kind of sticky. Kind of like when you, like I said, kind of like when you melt candle wax. That's basically what that is. So honestly, I'm not so sure what's going to happen with this. Maybe you'll find out something about it. I know forgot to mention this in the last couple of videos that we made about this whole situation. MLB stated that back in March they'll be investigating all the balls used by the pitchers to see if there actually is substance on them. So maybe they will take the ball in and see if they find something. I know they did it with Trevor Bauer, so but they I haven't heard anything from that, and that happened back in like April. So I highly doubt anything ever happened with that. So honestly, I'm not so sure where this is going to go from here. I definitely can see a lot of more pitchers getting ejected, though. That's for sure. I can definitely see that. But with that being said, I'm going to be honest with you, Mario. I don't have a problem before I end this. I don't have a problem with the checking of the pitchers, but in some cases, it got out of control. When Max just last week, Max Scherzer was pitching, they were checking him literally every other out. Like, what are you going to gain out of that? This dude just at 3 outs in the same inning is still checking him. What changed? You know what I mean? I feel I don't hate the idea of it. I just think some umpires take it a little bit too far, but that's just me. But overall, Mario, with that being said, I don't really know what else to say. I to Hector Santiago, just I don't know what to say. I really don't. But going back to the situation, maybe there was something in there, maybe there wasn't. I don't know. I couldn't tell you because it doesn't say him. I'm not sure if we'll ever know. But with that being said, if you're a pitcher and you do use the rosin, I don't have a problem with it, because obviously it's legalized by the MLB, but just don't use foreign substances. And that's just, you know what I mean? That's obviously against the rules. And I'm all for the MLB creating a legal substance for pitchers to grip the ball. I'm all for that. You know what I mean? Because like I said before, if the batters are allowed to use pine tar to grip the bat, then the pitcher should be allowed to grip the ball with a substance. I'm just saying. It's all about the fair game, and that's just that. So with that being said, y'all, I'll pass on to you, Mario, and see what you have to think about this.
Yeah, I mean, you basically explained everything with the foreign substances. I'm not going to get into depth with that. I will say this though. One thing I think you forgot to mention is Santiago. He could be facing a 10-game suspension if he ends up getting caught with it, and the team is not going to be able to replace him. But he also could be clear of any wrongdoing once the glove is further inspected. If they end up finding it was just a rosin. But yeah, overall, Nate, we've seen this coming, and I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna hear a lot of pitchers talk about it and be like, and because pitchers aren't a lot of these pitchers are not a fan of this,
Absolutely.
and again, like I understand why they're not is because a lot of them have been using certain substances for a very, very long time now. Since they changed the rules, they gotta change up the routine, and like Glass, I think it was Glass now. I think he said it. I believe Glass now said, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was him. He said, like, if you were gonna change these rules, at least do it like after the season's over.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
him.
right. So I understand that part too. But overall, Nate, listen to what you just said. It is possible something else could have been in there, But again, they're gonna expect the glove, and we'll see what happens. We don't necessarily know. But overall, Nate, I definitely seen this coming. There was definitely gonna be a first. Somebody was gonna get caught with this type of thing, and overall, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Hector Santiago. But what I find very, very interesting is what the manager said. He said Scott Cervase. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Scott Cervase, he said it's about 85 to 90% humidity today. He had rosin all over himself. When you put rosin on sweat, it gets sticky. Our guys are doing the right thing. We follow the rules. That last part, we follow the rules, but the rules clearly state that you cannot put rosin on the glove hand. Am I correct about that?
That is correct.
Clearly, I mean, like, technically you weren't. But regardless of that, I'm not trying like a smart ass, something like that. But overall, it is a very tough situation, and hopefully it is just rosin, and hopefully nothing happens to him. He can go back to playing. But overall, yeah, I mean, I've seen the checks obviously with Max Scherzer, that was getting a little too out of hand. A lot of pitchers aren't happy about it. The only one I seen that had no problem with it and like was all happy was like Shohei Ohtani. He was he was all happy. He didn't mind. He had like a positive attitude towards it. So he was the only one. But overall, I understand why pitchers are upset. You use something for a very, very long time for out of nowhere for them to tell you, hey, we're gonna be doing this now. It kind of changes the way stuff is. So overall, Nate, I do wish the Seattle Mariners the best of luck. Again, I hope Santiago was only using rosin and not anything else, because Again, 10-game suspension. You can't replace him on the roster. It's just bad. It's just bad for the Seattle Mariners and him in general if he does get caught. So with that being said, again, if there is news on this, we will let you guys know. But overall, Nate, we seen this coming. There's definitely going to be a lot of issues. There's definitely going to be a lot of issues with this. Here's what I will expect. Okay, I expect the MLB. I expect them to start to change the rule about checking the players a little bit. So like instead of checking them like I expect them to. I expect them to have a more consistent rule to the point where stuff like checking Max Scherzer that much doesn't happen. Because like you said, what could have happened within that period of time,
Right. He got so mad. He got so mad that he almost pulled out his pants. And Sergio Romo was like, "Nah, screw this.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
seen
finish
that.
what Max Scherzer started here to pull out his pants anyways." Some of these pitchers be having the funniest reactions to it.
Because they're not a big fan of it, and and
I don't
again,
blame them.
because they think it's ridiculous, they're treating it like ridiculously. Like you want to check that, and they're going like way like they're going like they're making it like what do you call it? It's pretty funny in my
Yeah.
opinion. But
Like
overall,
if it's like once every inning, then yeah, fine. Because like you're not like I'm not gonna walk to the dugout, grab a forward substance, and come back to the mound in the middle of the inning. I can't do that because once I'm in that dugout, I'm out of the game.
right, you check the pitcher, you probably check the catcher because the catcher is the one catching it. So if let's suppose there was somebody using pine tar or whatever, the catcher might take it out of his pocket and sneak it in. He could do that too. So you check the pitcher, you check the catcher, and then after that, that's it. For that inning, that's it. But they did check Scherzer a lot, so I do see the issue with that. I think they're gonna fix it though, to be honest. I think I can definitely see this rule being fixed to something that's more consistent. I hope that that's the case. But overall, Nate, I hope Santiago wasn't using any illegal substance or a foreign substance that he shouldn't have been using. I hope it was just the rosin. And with that being said, we'll see what happens, Nate.